Hello. Monograph 5. Shall we call them lay pastors? Dr. Melvin Steinberg has written down to how we call them the PACE minister. Those who are doing PACE here. So, shall we call them lay pastors? The question, what shall we call them, is inevitable when a church is in the planning phase of starting a lay pastor care ministry. These monography will help a church find the answer they can live with. A lodge called by any other name still smells the same. This may be more true of a lodge than it is of lay people who share in the pastoral care of God's people. When we call them, it's important for, as Judy and Carlos Ortiz states, if we don't have the right word, it may be that we don't have a right idea. We must have a right idea about these ministering people, because there is a direct relationship between how they see themselves and how they perform. In Hope Presbyterian Church, we call them lay pastors. Many churches call them shepherd. Other titles I've come across in my travel and leading are caregivers, lay ministers, care coordinators, in-touch leaders, shepherd helpers, area presbytery, lay pastoral visitors, flock leaders, parish leaders, care shepherd. I want to make a case for call them lay pastor. These people of the pew who share in the care of God's people. Number one, their function. If in this line of building form follows function, in pastoral care the title follows function. What do you ask the later people to do? Better yet, what gift has God given them, and to what kind of ministry does He call them? What is their function? We need a brief description of what we ask these people to do in caring for God's people. Try this. Caring for God's people is giving oneself in Christian love to a relationship in times of weakness and times of strength. These caring people have two things in common. First, they each relate caringly to beside the segment of total congregation. Second, they are to one, pray for their people, be available in times of need, make regular contact, and be example, PAC. What do you expect the clergy pastor to do when we are talking about the pastoral care of individual members? The same thing. We expect the lay pastors. The four things just listed. What gifts are required for both clergy and laity? The same. Mercy, compassion, love, sensitivity, acceptance, patience. Do all clergy have these pastoral gifts? No. I heard one church official say his pastor, he loves the Lord, but he doesn't seem to love people. Do all lay people have these gifts? No. Those who do have them received from God and should be the one who share in caring for His people. In my book, Can the Pastor Do It Alone, in the section titled Lay Pastors Are Pastoring, I wrote, if commissioned lay people love like pastors, care like pastors, visit like pastors, have a pastoral gift like pastors, and a pastor like pastors, they are pastors. If a pastor called by an other name is still pastor, then why not use designation pastor? 2. Their identity. Question. What kind of call does it take for lay people to be caring for God's people? Answer. The same kind of call it takes for a clergy pastor, a call from God. Then an opportunity to test the call. Question. How does this call reach lay people? Answer. The same way it reaches the clergy, ranging all the way from the vision and a voice to a suggestion by some interested person who has spotted the gift in him or her. To paint intellect becoming a calculated decision. In the early church, people who showed the signs of maturity and wisdom were appointed or chosen to be elders. Paul on one occasion called the elders of the Ephesian church together and charged them to care for God's people, Acts 20:28. Peter charged the elders addressed in his letter to tend the club of God, 1 Peter 5:2. Jesus had previously charged him to take care of my sheep, John 21:17. In other words, the people with the pastoral gift were chosen to use their gift in the pastoral care of the others. The others had different gifts such as administration, teaching, helping, etc. These others were to use their gift in appropriate ways. Those pastoral gifts were to use them in pastoring. The Spirit is the one who determines who gets which gift. We try to discover our gift and help others discover theirs, and the maturity encourage one another in using them. So we have seen that function of these saints is to care for God's people. Can the power of God? If clergy who care for God's people are called pastors, then lay people who are gifted, called and set apart to care for God's people, most certainly can be called pastors, lay pastors. 3. Their title. Looking at the 4 English words in the Greek will help us decide what we shall call these people of the few who are gifted, called and set apart to pastorally care for God's people. The 4 words, pastor, Ephesians 4:11, tend, John 21:17, Acts 20:28, saint, Ephesians 4:12, and the chief shepherd, 1 Peter 5:4. Pastor, poimane, means herdsman, shepherd. Although this Greek word appears many times in the New Testament, only in Ephesians 4:11 is translated pastor. Please note that pastor is the most common word used in American churches to designate clergy. Other word is bear, reverend, and minister. The 7 years I was pastor of the Hawaii Church in Hilo, Hawaii, I was called the Kahu, which literally translated from the Hawaiian is shepherd. I was referred to as a shepherd in other churches I was pastored, but never called a shepherd. While pastoring Randolph Highton Presbyterian Church in St. Paul, Minnesota, I was called the pastor man, but everyone I like it. Tend. Poimaino. It's the verb form of the noun poimane. It means to feed, to tend, to keep, to furnish pastoral food to nourish. In Acts 20:28, this one Greek word is translated differently in 3 translations: feed, care for, and shepherd. Saint, hagios, means a person whose service God employs oneself apart to be, as it was, exclusively His. Just as the Israelites knew, they knew selected by God to be His. Christians are to know they are selected by Him to be His. Psalm 4:30 is true of every Christian. But know that the Lord has set apart the godly for Himself. Chief shepherd, arkefoimane, means chief shepherd, 1 Peter 5:4. The only chief shepherd is Jesus Christ. The local salaried and ordained pastor is needed. The chief shepherd, no other only person to be doing the pastoring. According to Ephesians 4:11-12, the major pastoral role of the clergy pastor and the shepherd is to equip the saints for their ministry. So, let's call those who have been equipped the lay pastor. Why lay? Think of it this way. Not using the technical language of the Greek, but using the terminology you were accustomed to using. There are vocational pastors and volunteer pastors. Period. Both are given pastoral gift by God. The vocational pastor is to give the pastoral gift to people. The volunteer pastor is to be equipped to do pastoring. Conclusion. Does a lodge called by any other name still smell the same or cold? Does a person gifted called a gift for pastoring still the same if they call some other name? Maybe, maybe not. Other terms may be okay if the person knows what God has called them to be and to do. However, if they don't have the right one, it may be they will not have the right idea. If they don't have the right idea, it maybe they will not do the right thing. Here I made my case. If not, be sure your lodges are really lodges, so that if they are called by other names, they will still smell the same. Whatever you calling them, lay pastor, lay minister, pace minister, but they have to do same smell as lay pastors. Thank you.